Hey everybody, today we're talking about Blue Beetle, Black and Blue. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm your host, Brent, and today we're reviewing Blue Beetle, Black and Blue. This is the last trade paperback collected from his original 1 year later run, whatever you want to call it, from 2007. This finishes out the series through issue number 36 and also collects the backups he had in the Booster Gold series that was running at the time. So because of that, I guess Mike Norton gets full court press as the main artist on this book, when in fact I think he does less than half in terms of the actual artwork in the story. I think David Baldeón and Carlo Barberi do a little bit more than him, or maybe it's a split down the third, but I'm not really sure why Mike Norton gets first billing when he's the last guy on the book, and he wasn't even actually drawing the Blue Beetle series itself. He was drawing the backups in the Booster Gold. Just minor nitpick. I'm not saying the art's good or bad. I think it's all good, but that was just a little weird for me. So Blue Beetle, Black and Blue is a little weird. Remember when we were talking about boundaries that it skipped a couple issues? Well, this one also skipped some issues. This contains 27, 28, 35, and 36. So the two issues before boundaries and the two issues after boundaries. What is not collected in any of these trades is Blue Beetle number 26, which I believe is 26, but there was an all Spanish issue that DC did at the time where it was like a 22-page comic book, and it was all in Spanish. It was about Jaimé and his family, and they were talking to each other in the family relationships. I believe it was a barbecue or something like that, and it was entirely in Spanish. And for English readers like myself, there was a script in the back that was written out in English. So you page through it. You know, I had 4 years of high school Spanish at the time, and I tried to make it through it. I wasn't very successful. You know, I was a C Spanish student back at the time. I've forgotten even more of it now, so I'd probably do way worse if it was collected in here. But I'm honestly a little surprised to see it not collected at all. I want to say the writer was Jay Torres at the time, just for that one issue. So I'm a little weirded out that it's not collected in any of these trades at all. I don't see a reason why it couldn't be. But anyway, these stories are all written by Matthew Sturges, finishing out the original Blue Beetle run. He wrote the Boundary storylines. And the stuff I had over there, Boundaries, I was talking about Rafael Albuquerque and how the storytelling felt a little bit off. I didn't feel that way here. You got David Baldeón and Carlo Barberi, who's now drawing Spawn, I believe, doing some artwork here that's pretty good, pretty solid. I didn't have any of the same weird jarring things that I had reading the Boundaries trade paperback. So I don't really know where that came from per se, if it was the storytelling, if it was the writing or the art. I don't know. I'm just here to say those don't exist here in this trade paperback. Again, this is a long out of print trade. I don't know if they're going to do a Blue Beetle, Jaimé Reyes book 3. If they do, it would be the Boundary storyline in this one. Maybe they would reshuffle the reading order a little bit to put the issues in the correct order as opposed to how they collected them here. But I can see if you had a 5-issue storyline there and you got 2 issues in front of it, that makes a bigger trade, and then a thinner trade if you only have a couple after that. So I guess it makes sense. There's no real rhyme or reason to it. I guess the main thing is that Paco and Brenda start dating at the end of the Boundary storyline, and they continue that towards the end of this book on into the backups. So what is a little jarring about this is by the time you get to the backups here in the late end of the book, there's 2 stories that are about this giant robot thing. They'd have nothing to do with what was going on at the time. You got Mike Norton doing the artwork back here. And then the last, I think it's 2 or 3 backup stories. And these backup stories are short. They're only I want to say they're 8 pages long. You have Mike Norton doing the Black Beetle stuff. And Black Beetle was a character who was appearing in Booster Gold at the time of these stories. And he was also crossing into these Blue Beetle backups. And there was a big mystery about who he was. I think they finally did decide on who he is, but I don't remember. It wasn't like a shocking reveal or anything like that. But it's just kind of weird because he just shows up in the backups and they fight and he defeats him, and that's kind of it. And it's is he relevant to Jaimé's story, or is he more relevant to Booster Gold's story? And I think they end up he ends up being more relevant to Booster Gold, just has a scarab and calls himself Black Beetle, and he was, I think it's kind of a curveball, a swerve to make you think he is related to Jaimé. He certainly says he's Paco in one of these stories, and that turns out not to be the case. Peacemaker's still hanging out back here, but the last backup has basically Jaimé not going nuts, but the scarab going nuts and rebooting itself, and taking in at the end of the trade paperback, Jaimé now has the scarab armor with its knowledge, as well as the data center that Peacemaker had back into him, and they're kind of all on the same team. So he's a fully formed superhero with all the knowledge of the scarab at his disposal by the end of the book. So all in all, I like this a little bit better than Boundaries. I think the multiple storylines and stuff that broke it up helped out a lot. So I would recommend you reading this if you can find it. Don't pay too much for it, but it's a fun storyline, and I think they should collect these in another Jaimé Reyes Book 3 volume. I think that would be worthwhile. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know down below what you thought of Jaimé Reyes, Blue Beetle, Black and Blue in the comments below, and we'll see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.